everybody, impromptu vlog here. I'm here with Rain45.
Hey!
And we are going to be making a trip to the Apple Store today.
Yeah, okay, so Reese was like, let's meet for coffee and write our stories. And I was like, that sounds great! We met there and he was like, oh, your phone's up for renewal. Let's just get you an iPhone! And so yeah, we're off. He's going to get it me for my birthday, which is nice.
Yeah, we've had a good
It's not
experience.
even my birthday, but it will be at some point this year.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday! It's my birthday. Not today, but it will be.
So, I suppose we can chat briefly about the very good customer experience we've just had with EE.
Oh yeah, we were going to move from EE because we were like, we're not feeling it, EE. Everything's so expensive with you.
We looked at all the tariffs and compared them, and we found a better deal with 3. So you could have gone to 3 on a SIM-only contract and got more data, slightly less minutes because you would have gone from unlimited to 600 and unlimited text. And it was going down from your current contract of about £30 a month down to 13.
Yeah, which was great. Because obviously I'm not going to be paying for the phone. I only want a SIM only because I want to get the Apple renewal.
Yeah, the iPhone upgrade plan we're going to try and move to.
Which means I pay £32 a month and then
the phone.
I will be able to get the new iPhone every time it comes out. Which, come on!
Can't be wrong
They
with that.
release them like all the time. So that'll be pretty good. So it's going to work out cheaper than getting an iPhone 7
contract
with a SIM.
Yeah.
So we're getting the SIM and the phone separately. But yeah, we found this really good deal with 3. Then we went to EE and I was like, I'm cancelling because of this and that. And they were like, yeah, it would be cheaper to get your phone with Apple. They agreed with me on that.
Yeah, they did.
But then they were like, look, we've got this £25 plan, but you can have it for £13.
Yeah.
And I got unlimited calls, which was more than 3. So wow!
We got a win there.
Yeah, so I'm really happy with EE.
Yeah.
And Reese is going to put down the money on the phone so I can get it today.
Yeah.
For my birthday, which is not
present.
today, but it will be at some point. So now we're off to Leicester because we don't have an Apple store in Nottingham.
We don't, no.
So this is really exciting.
So it's time for road trip.
Road trip.
So there you have it. That is the story of how me and Sophie went off to Leicester to go get Sophie a brand new iPhone from the Apple store there. We had a good day out, and yes, of course, spent a lot of money, but because she got it on the iPhone upgrade scheme, it's not like all that money was spent on the day. Sort of, technically. I can kind of justify that. But, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that will say that I'm a really bad influence for sort of just meeting with my friend for coffee and then taking her off to Leicester and getting her a new phone. But, you know, look how happy she was. So I have the iPhone 6s and now Sophie has the iPhone 7. And because of that, I couldn't help but get the 2 phones side by side and just discuss some of the differences between the 2 models, what we think about our phones respectively. I've had mine now for over a year. Sophie's had hers for, at the point of recording this, a couple of days now. So yes, following on is our first impressions of the iPhone 7 mixed with a year-on review of the iPhone 6s.
So I'm back from the Apple store from my random let's go buy an iPhone. Blame Rejects entirely for that because I didn't even want an iPhone. Well, I did want an iPhone. I did. I mean, look at it. Look at it! Anyway. So this is my new iPhone. I've put it in a lovely case which is made by ESR. Didn't get anything too fancy because I'll be trading it and getting a new one when the new one's out. So this is just one to make it less slippery so it's not like a salmon coming out of the river. And this is my screen protector as well. I put a glass kind of screen protector on because then I can throw it around and not worry about it. So, here is the phone. Now, first impressions of the iPhone 7. The last time I had an iPhone was the iPhone 4S, so as you can imagine, I'm like, what, 4 generations on from this? If we include all the S's involved. Ah, here it is. This was my last iPhone, in a lovely Game Boy case. So as you can see, there's quite a difference since my last iPhone. The width, size, the camera. But they still have the same style, and pretty much most of the interfaces when I went onto it were the same, as I've only been on Android for a year, so it wasn't too much of a learning curve. But now I've got the unlock with fingerprint. What? Please don't chop my fingers off to get on my phone.
So, looking at these phones face to face, there's not too much to differentiate between the two of them. You know, crossing off the obvious, so mine's the space grey version and Sophie's got the silver. They are both the same 4.7-inch screens, they both have a home button, they both have their power, volume up, volume down and lock switches in the exact same place. The differences don't become apparent until you start looking at the reverse side of the phones. The iPhone 7 has a distinctively different camera design compared to the iPhone 6s, and one of the notable differences with the camera in the iPhone 7 is that it actually has optical image stabilization. To get that feature in the 6s generation, you had to go for the 6s Plus, which meant if you wanted a smaller phone but the added benefits of optical image stabilization for your photography, you were out of luck. This generation, Apple have catered for you. Also, the antenna lines that are much more complained about on the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6s have been, well, I don't really want to call this a redesign. Basically, the lines that go across the actual back of the phone are gone, and now you've only got the antenna cutouts along the edges of the phone. It makes them much more discreet. And if you actually go for the black or jet black versions of the iPhone 7, they're practically invisible. But even looking at Sophie's silver version, you can barely notice that they're there. So while both of the phones have a 12 megapixel camera, one of the key differences on the iPhone 7 is that it's able to capture images in a wider colour gamut, and this is to go along with the slightly different display technology in the newer phone. So, spinning the attention back to the front of the phones, while they both have a 4.7-inch display with a resolution of 1334 by 750, or if you want to be less uber specific about it, basically 720p screens, the iPhone 7 actually has a display that is capable of reproducing more colours. It's a wide colour gamut display. What this means is that the amount of colours that that screen can produce is much greater than the displays of previous generations. Imagine, say for example, you're looking at a picture that has a blue sky in it. If you zoom in and look at the sky in detail, you will notice on most images that there are bands of different shades of blue, as there is a gap between what colours the screen is able to produce. On the wider colour gamut displays, rather than having those bands, they'll either be eliminated completely or far less noticeable, because the amount of colours that the screen can produce in between those two shades of blue is increased. While visually on the front there isn't much to differentiate the two models, there are some subtle differences which you can only really notice if you get your hands on these phones. The first and most notable one would have to be related to the home button. The iPhone 6s, like all previous generations, has a physical home button which features Touch ID. The iPhone 7, on the flip side, actually doesn't have a button there at all. That space still has the Touch ID sensor in there, but it doesn't depress, it's not a physical button. What they've done is they've used the Taptic engine, very similar to what they've done on the trackpads of the latest MacBooks, to mimic the feel of a click. It does feel strange, actually having your hands on one and pressing the key, because I didn't notice this before, but my habit is actually to try and press that button with my nail. I think that's how I got around the quote-unquote issue of Touch ID being so fast. Once upon a time you'd sort of go press your home button and your phone would magically be unlocked and you wouldn't be able to see your notification screen. Usage habits obviously then adapted to this, and I have got into the habit of actually pressing that button with my nail. When I went to do this on Sophie's iPhone 7, it just didn't respond. I was pressing against a piece of glass effectively. You have to be able to press that button with your skin. You have to have that capacitive feedback in order for the button to detect that you're trying to press it. This has pros and cons. I imagine that the Touch ID button won't work very well when your hands are wet, because I already know that my iPhone 6S can't read my fingerprint if my hands are wet or wrinkled from being in the bath too long. With it not being a mechanical button anymore, that's one point of failure that in theory is eliminated. Also, by making the button this way on the iPhone 7, they were able to make that phone, this phone, IP67 water resistant. Basically water resistant, because not having a button there means you've got one less point at which water can get into the phone. So our attention was inevitably eventually going to be drawn to the fact that there is one thing the iPhone 6S has which the iPhone 7 doesn't, and that would be the headphone jack. Now in the box for the iPhone 7 you do actually get an adapter included, a Lightning to 3.5mm jack adapter is there, but it's the tiniest little thing which, unless you're going to keep it attached to your favourite set of headphones that you always use with your iPhone, it's one of those tiny little dongles that is almost inevitably going to get lost. So keep it safe. They aren't the cheapest things to replace, but it's nice that Apple has included them in the box for you. And also the headphones that you do get with the phone are directly Lightning headphones. Again, I feel that one of the reasons they removed the headphone jack was to make it easier to waterproof the phone, for starters. And I would actually agree that it's probably one of the more underused features on my phone. Personally, in my car I have Bluetooth, and I actually also have a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and I've had them since, I think it was actually before I got the iPhone 6S. So it's not something on my phone that I use often, but there's a lot of people that will use the headphone jack for getting music in their car from their phone, because not everyone has a Bluetooth sound system in their car, and again, not everyone has Bluetooth headphones either. So if you're looking at buying one of these phones and you need a headphone jack, the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus are just definitely not for you. The headphone jack hasn't been removed to thin the device down at all. When I am holding these in my hand and looking at them side by side, I'd actually say that the iPhone 7 seems a tiny bit thicker. It feels thicker and ever so slightly, I don't want to say heavier, but it definitely feels more solid. It feels like there is a bigger battery in there, which there actually is. They did manage to put a bigger battery in there, because in the 6S, when that first came out, to make space for the Force Touch display, they actually shrunk the battery down to make space for the extra electronics in there that made that technology work. In the iPhone 7, they've thankfully managed to beef up the battery again and retain the 3D Touch technology from yesteryear. So there you have it. That's my first impressions of the iPhone 7 in comparison with the iPhone 6S. Thank you so much if you have made it to this point in the video, and please send us questions if you want us to do any side-by-side tests or get mine or Sophie's opinions on either of the phones. Suggest things for other tech videos that I can do as the year goes on, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, bye!